M156 in W211 E63 AMG is a masterpiece, but just like any other high-performing machine, it demands proper care. Neglect it and you risk a costly and heartbreaking demise. In this video, I'm gonna show you the crucial maintenance steps to keep your E63 AMG roaring for years to come. Hello, Elvin here and welcome to Accent on Cars. In today's video, we're gonna dive deep into the heart of W211 E63 AMG, the M156. Now, this video will guide you through the essential maintenance steps organized into easy to follow steps. We'll talk about the engine, we'll talk about the transmission, we'll talk about the rest of the car to keep your E63 in top shape. I've owned my E63 AMG for years and through meticulous maintenance, I have it running like a dream. The car is in perfect condition both mechanically and cosmetically. Now, I've seen countless owners make costly mistakes that could have been easily avoided with proper care. This engine demands proper care. It demands respect. Now, the first thing you have to do after acquiring E63 or any M156 equipped engine is the oil change. I've seen countless number of oil changes done incorrectly, either using the wrong type of oil or overfilling or underfilling the engine. Never trust the words of the previous owner unless you have like a proof that's undeniable. My own car, which I bought from the Lexus dealership, came with overfilled engine, causing vibrations to the engine, and they probably used the wrong type of oil. Now, Mercedes recommended oil change interval is 10,000 miles. In my mind, that's too much. I change oil every 3,000 miles, and my engine runs like the dream. 5,000 miles is the most I would recommend that you go, but 10,000 miles in my mind is just a marketing BS. Next is the transmission service. Unless you have a proof from the previous owner that the transmission fluid had been replaced every 40,000 miles, you must absolutely change the transmission fluid and filter. Mercedes initially recommended that the transmission was sealed for the lifetime. It's a lifetime fluid, but we know it's just a marketing jargon. In later years, they changed their recommendation to 40,000 miles. I have a dedicated video where I deep dive into transmission and how to make your Mercedes transmission run forever. The link to that video is going to be in the description box down below. Go check out that video after watching this one. Next thing you have to do after buying an M156 equipped car is the coolant flush. Mercedes recommended service interval is 15 years or 150,000 miles. In my mind, that's too much. It's super cheap, it's dirt cheap, it's super easy to do yourself in your own garage, and it's good for keeping the engine cool. And rumor has it that the fresh coolant will prevent or will slow down head bolts from rusting, helping you potentially avoid head bolt failure. Regardless, it's super cheap, super easy to do. I recommend you flush your coolant after buying one of these engines. Next, brake fluid and power steering fluid. Brake fluid should be checked and flushed every 2 to 3 years depending on your driving style, humidity, of the climate in which you live, and the power steering fluid should be flushed at least once every 5 years, I would say. Mercedes recommends checking the fluid level, power steering fluid level every 2 years and top it off as needed. If it's clean, great. If it's dirty, it can lead to the power steering pump failure. The next item you should replace immediately after buying the car is the engine air filter. Mercedes recommends replacing engine air filters every 40,000 miles or 4 years, which I think is crazy. I actually change mine twice a year, after winter, after all the salt and chemicals, and after the spring, once the pollen season is over. Now, that might be a little bit of a too overkill, but I have like lifetime replacement from FCP Euro, which means free filter changes. So why not? I change mine twice a year. But if you don't have access to FCP Euro or similar websites, at least change it once a year, once every 2 years if you live in extremely clean and dust-free climate. Next is the cabin air filter. Mercedes recommends that you replace cabin air filter every 30,000 miles, if I remember correctly. Note that the recommended service interval for the cabin filter, according to Mercedes, is shorter than the engine air filter. Why? Because Mercedes knows how important it is to keep the air inside the car clean for your own health. I recommend that you do deep cleaning of the AC system every year, every 2 years. because over time, because of the moisture and stuff like that, they will be mold, and they will be mold growing in your evaporator and other parts of the AC system. I have a video showing you exactly how to perform a deep cleaning of the AC system. It's very easy. It requires like 10 to 20 bucks at most to clean the system. Make sure you check that video out after watching this one. I am praising. I want to show you guys something cool. Follow me. Let me open the trunk. I want to show you guys what I got recently. Buaye was sponsored by AliExpress. Handheld device is all in one. Like I said, it's a jump starter, power bank, and flashlight. It's all in one. It's enough to jumpstart any gasoline and diesel car 20 times is what they say. It has all sorts of kind of like safety features built in. So it has like anti-spark, anti-short, kind of like features built in. So even if you mix up polarities, you're not gonna fry up your ECU and other electronic components. So I actually set the pressure to 33 as to demonstrate you how it works. Just like that, when it reaches the desired pressure, it auto shuts off. I kind of like the flashlight feature. Not only is it convenient to inflate your tire or jumpstart your car when it's dark, it also has this like flashing lights feature, which can be really convenient. Let's say if you are like stuck on the side of the road, you can put it on the ground to let cars behind you that you are having an emergency. Now, you don't need to like jumpstart or inflate your tire every day, but things happen and they can happen at inconvenient times. So I highly recommend that everybody has one of these in their trunk. Another thing I recommend you replace after buying M156 is the spark plugs. Mercedes recommended service interval is 5 years or 60,000 miles. I would say that sounds about right. So replace them. They are cheap. They are super easy to do. So make sure they're brand new for maximum performance and emissions. Another super important maintenance item is the injectors. This is not mentioned anywhere in the service interval. However, the injectors on M156 made by Bosch are notoriously known for getting stuck open. If that happens, injectors will leak fuel down into the cylinder, potentially hydrolocking your engine. Several people you will find on the internet have lost their engine because of the stupid injectors getting stuck. So I recommend you replace them as soon as you buy an M156 engine, unless you have a written proof from the previous owner that they were replaced recently. Not that hard to do yourself. Even if you hire a mechanic, they should charge you for about 2 hours of labor at most. But if you want to do it yourself, I have a detailed step-by-step instructional video down below in the description box. Go check it out after watching this video. I'll tell you a personal and horror story. My buddy and I were gunning these cars 150 miles an hour on a racetrack, of course. Wing wing. And all of a sudden, his steering wheel becomes extremely heavy. He gets like errors on the dash. He pulls over. We open the hood to see what happened, and sure enough, his serpentine belt snapped off. Luckily, nothing else was broken. Usually when the serpentine belt breaks or comes loose, it may damage your fan, it may damage your radiator. So my buddy was lucky enough that he didn't incur any further damage. So make sure that the serpentine belt is fresh, is brand new. It's rubber. Over time it dries out, it will break, it will snap. Mercedes recommends checking it for the condition every 2 years. Either do it yourself, it's easy to do, or hire a mechanic. A mechanic should not charge you for more than 1 hour to replace the serpentine belt, and the part itself is 35 bucks or something like that, at least here in the US, made by Continental. Guys, change the differential fluid. If your car does not have limited slip differential, just like mine, then Mercedes recommended service interval is 150,000 miles. I think that's too much. My car just passed 100,000 miles. I'm gonna replace the differential fluid myself, and likely will make a DIY video. Subscribe to see that video in the future. If your car does have an LSD, service interval is even shorter. Another item that must be replaced around that mileage is the fuel filter. But it's not easy, it's a costly process. If it doesn't leak, if you are not feeling like the gas smell in the car, it's probably okay. But if you do smell gas in the cabin, it's leaking. It's a known issue and it has to be replaced. Guys, I wanted to stress out the importance of cleaning the drain ports. Over here under the hood, where all the water drains down, must be absolutely clean. I had W211 E350 back in the day, and I didn't notice how there were like leaves and other debris here blocking the drainage. And when that happens, somehow water finds its way into the cabin. So one day I was driving this car and I sat behind the steering wheel and I see water dripping on my knees and on my shoes. So the water got into the car and was dripping from under the dashboard. Luckily, no electronic components were damaged, but they can fry. The water can damage your electronic components. So make sure you always clean the drain port, which is right here. On a similar note, clean the, the moonroof. There's drain ports under the moonroof too. Make sure they're also clean. Also, every 5 years or so, clean the rails and grease them to ensure smooth operation of your moonroof. Mercedes recommends using top tier gasoline with additives or using additives every once in a while, gasoline additives, to prevent from carbon buildup. The product that they recommend is the Tecron from Chevron. So I run it every once in a while through the system combined. So the fuel cleaner, 7200 RPM, combined with a good Italian tune, cleans up all the carbon buildup in the engine. So everything I've spoken about so far are just the preventative maintenance items to make sure that your car is in top-notch condition. But on top of that, please pay attention to safety items. The chassis and all the load-bearing components must be in top-notch condition. Chances are you're gonna drive these cars hard. Chances are you're gonna drive them fast, humiliating BMWs and Audis on the road. So for your own safety, please make sure that your chassis, everything is in top-notch condition and the car handles well. At this point, I've updated all the suspension links, I've updated my struts, I've updated my steering links. Go check out other videos that I have in the description to increase your knowledge and understanding of this beautiful engines, which is the M156. If you have any questions, please leave them down below in the comment section. Don't forget to like the video so that you and others get to see it, and I'll see you in the future episodes.